Hi there YouTube. Today I want to talk about how teaching men and boys about women's issues early in life will ruin women's lives sooner than ever. So what do I mean by this? Well, basically, most men don't enjoy getting fucked over. Once you mess up a man's life, he probably isn't going to want to have anything to do with you. Crazy, I know. Absolutely insane thought. You hurt someone, they don't want to be hurt again. Who would have thought it? Now, up until now, women have fucked up men's lives from the age of 18 onwards. They've had unhappy love affairs, they've got them married and then have been divorced and they've taken half men's shit. They've generally mistreated men. We now know all the laws are definitely skewed in a gynocentric way. But this sort of stuff hasn't really hit until male adulthood. But as I say, we'll just stick with adulthood for a second. But most men, naturally, they want to think well of women. However, once a man has been screwed over, he'll never look at women quite the same again. I know people who, when you tell them this, if they haven't experienced it, they'll look at you and they go, oh, life isn't really that bad. Women aren't that bad. They'll be fine. And then they get screwed over. And then they realise the truth. And then they realise, how could I have been so stupid? And the point is, exactly. Now, if that happens 18 and onwards, that's fine. Men and women, basically, I think probably men have probably got two women in them, so to speak. You put down the first disaster, maybe you'll try again, give them a second go. You'll return to the plantation for that one time. But after that, any man with any sense, you're kind of done. So probably for no other reason that you're now financially broke and you can't afford to lose half your shit twice. However, these days, men and boys and kids and children, etc., are being taught that men are evil and women are victims. They're being taught this in primary school. I'm from England. My definition of primary school is basically from when you start to the age of 11, although we do know this also happens in universities, and I'm sure it happens in secondary schools or high schools if you're in America as well. But the point is, if you teach kids this, kids will go, no, girls aren't like that. But they will again have the double girl experience because the girls are being taught, be a victim, treat men like dirt, all men are nasty. So what happens is you'll get all these young children, females, treating boys badly. And before, as in the olden days, boys would have just written it off like sensible people would. A girl's nasty to you, well, there you go, and you move on. These days, you're taught that it's law. You're taught that it's wrong. So what happens? A girl treats a boy nastily, he writes it off, and then a boy is treated badly by a girl, and he thinks, oh, that lesson we had, my teacher was right. And now you've got a 6-year-old, or, pre-teen anyway, who now knows the score. So they then grow up their whole life and hopefully never actually start to make the mistakes in adulthood that they would have made potentially. By mistake, I'm not saying that they will then be nasty to women and lose half their shit, etc. So in effect, it's saving women from the disaster of the patriarchy because of educating men, everyone's okay now. No, what I actually mean is men won't put themselves in that situation, so men won't lose half their shit, and men won't have any dealings with all these nasty women, and so men will actually have a much better life of it, and women suddenly won't be able to find all those men to fuck up. So basically the pool of men will just dry up, and all you'll end up with is the simps and the wusses and the male feminists. They are the only ones that will stick with women together, and of course the women don't want those because they are all beaters. And so this is going to mean that the men The alphas that the women really want, they will all have learnt their lesson many years previously and will never put themselves in the situation, therefore making women's life more difficult. Whose fault is that? It's women's fault. It's feminism's fault. The genie is out of the bottle. This is not going to be undone. And women, you've only got yourselves to blame.